for any people who are curious and maybe want to be farriers out there. One thing when you're driving nails, I don't know if anybody notices when I take the nail and I place it, I have this finger down here on the other side of the foot. Basically what I'm doing is when I start to drive that nail, I'm aiming for my finger on the other side. Now, if you haven't noticed, every time I start driving, I take my finger away. There's a reason for that. It's because I've drove a nail into my finger a couple times. If you do that enough times, you'll learn to move your finger out of the way. And you'll get more confident in your nailing as your nails go and everything else. But yeah, I've driven nails in my finger plenty of times to know that I want to move my finger when I start going far enough. I enjoy. It's kind of one of the funs and thrills about being a farrier. Get to deal with a bunch of all these different animals that are just good, and dog's respectable enough to stay out of my workspace. Hey, quit. Horse is nipping on me. And there. So, judge and see if the shoe fits. Shoe definitely fits. What I look at when I start to feel, you see me feeling with my fingers about where it starts to get out of line. And I start to make mental notes on where I need to tap it, where I need to hit it to bend that shoe to get this to actually fit this horse's foot correctly. So, in case anybody's wondering. So that's pretty much going to work. So you can see, I almost use my nail holes as a guidance too when I'm looking and I'm feeling about where I need to hit and bend. It's easy to use those nail holes. So the guys who are just getting going in this little tip and trick of the trade is I like to use my nail holes. Widest part of the foot should be the center of the foot, which it is. Make sure my shoe goes back to the buttress of the frog. Covers the heels well. And just throw that shoe on there. Make sure my nails aren't pointed too far in. I know I'm not much of a guy that points my nails in so much. If I know my nails are lined up good with the white line of the foot, I drive it pretty much you can drive them almost straight down. And no matter what, you're going to tack this shoe in with those two nails like that, you're going to have to do a little bit of shifting because it's going to move a little bit with how you put your nail placement in that foot, which doesn't hurt the horse any. It's just something I know. I remember seeing one time on Facebook, someone made a comment, like if you had to tap your shoe after you tack your shoe on, you didn't place the shoe right, you didn't place your nails right, whatever nonsense that they're talking about. It's like, no, because this foot is a living thing with living tissue. Everything living moves. You drive something in there, you put something there that's technically not supposed to be there, like this nail, it's going to shift a little bit, which you can play with it a little bit when you're driving other nails, but she's tired of having her foot up. She's not used to me talking and doing this all at the same time. Let me just drive this real quick. Bring that off and I'll give her foot back. And for those wondering, just because I'm talking a lot today, those wondering if a horse, by seeing that last video and I'm tapping that shoe in, everything, that horse kind of pulled, and I said, yeah, I'm not normally taking this long because I'm busy talking today. And that horse pulled from me, and some of y'all may think that was an issue or a problem. Guys, it's not a problem. It's just part of the deal. I'm trying to get this out over my phone. Horses are like kids. Okay? Some horses are more patient than others. Some kids are more patient than others. My little girl, my 5-year-old, is a heck of a lot more patient than my son. My son is very impatient. My son wants something, he wants it right then, right now, kind of thing. My daughter, on the other hand, you can say, wait a second, she'll wait a minute for you. 90% of the time. Okay? So, some horses have it in their mind, like, you know, I'm standing, normally I have to stand this long for this guy. He's taking longer than normal. That is that little pull was a way for her, or for him, to tell me, hurry it up. I'm getting tired, so just a little thought. Which, trying to get content and videos back out there for you guys, so that's kind of the whole point of me trying to video again and really get involved, because I know people have questions and everything. It's hard because I try to answer them to y'all, or have y'all answer questions in real, you know, when I see you, that's fine, but then I forget. I'm like, there's a lot of y'all who I may not work for, but you're interested and curious, so I want to help you guys out, so that's kind of why I'm doing this again, and want to talk to you guys. So and some of y'all may wonder, it's because it's been a while. It's been a good while since I've done a trimming video, or a video of me just trimming a horse, a barefoot trim. I barefoot trim a horse different than the way I shoe him. Okay? Because the shoe, I can kind of manipulate how I want this foot to go. So, you know, how to get in with those who, you know, say corrective shoeing and stuff like that. You can manipulate the foot a little bit with the shoe on how you want it to grow by utilizing pressure and how they're placing their feet and stuff like that. When you're shoeing a horse, though, so when you're trimming a horse and you're barefoot trimming it, you got to put that into the trim. Okay? Some horses react to it and actually do well. Some horses don't. What I mean by that is some horses will actually start to correct themselves with that trim. Some horses won't. Now, with a shoe, since I'm doing that with a shoe, and I'm manipulating it by pressure with a shoe, I want the foot flat. The flatter you can trim the foot, the lot easier it is to actually throw a shoe on there. Because you just have to make sure your shoe is flat. You know, make sure your shoe is flat. Makes it easier to actually put it on the horse without causing pressure points anywhere within the foot. So, little tit for tat. I know I probably don't have very many farriers that watch my stuff, or, you know, people really caring about that part. that part of the business. But so you're a horse owner who knows kind of some more things, and you can actually, if you're curious, you can ask your farrier about what his thoughts are, what they do, and kind of get in their mind a little bit and try to understand a little bit of what they're trying to do to the horse and what they're trying to accomplish with the horse's feet. Which I guess can lead me to say that's why a lot of farriers want their horses to stand really well, because it's hard to do all that if your horse doesn't stand good. If your horse is yanking on you, yanking on us and everything else, it makes it difficult to actually accomplish the mission we're setting out to do by making sure your horse is comfortable, making sure his feet are growing correctly, and going that route. Now, pretty much all the horses I had today stand pretty good, so I have that. I'm very fortunate in that regard. But that is kind of one of the things that when I'm shoeing a horse, obviously I really want the horse to stand good. If the horse does not take to a trim very good, as far as correcting the horse that way, and the horse competes and he needs shoes and it hasn't been shoed that much or very much and just doesn't like the shoeing job, I will always try, and it's difficult sometimes, but you know, some horses don't do with a barefoot trim very well on correcting their feet that way, and we have to do shoes. And when it comes down to that point, make sure we're working with our horses to get things done properly, and that way we can best assess and take care of your horses the best way we know how. And the reason why, if horses don't stand good and they don't do very good, especially during a shoeing job, or even just during a trim, they don't really stand good, I always try to do them barefoot and correct their feet with a trim, just because it's a lot safer, guys. It's a lot easier. Yes, there are risks to still getting under a horse that is, you know, acting up and pulling on you and things like that, but I'd rather have a horse act up with me during a trim than me throwing shoes on. Because then if I'm throwing shoes on a horse and it starts acting up, it just takes a nail. First off, I still have to do the trim, so I have to do the trim anyway, right? So I still have to do the trim. Horse is acting up, okay, you know. But if a horse is acting up and I'm throwing shoes on there, I have to drive 6 nails into each foot of that horse to at least make it stable. I've done it with 4 nails before on certain horses, and they held up just fine for 8 weeks. But to make sure that shoe is on and secure, I like doing 6. Some guys like doing 8. It's just farrier preference when you're at that point. But just to talk to you guys a little bit, I know this video is kind of dragged out, kind of long, but that's why when we say like a horse really needs corrective shoeing done or something like that, and they don't really get their feet done very often, a lot of farriers may recommend taking them to the vet so they can get sedation to actually get their feet done properly. It's safer for them, safer for us, especially safer for us. But then you know your horse is getting done. You know your horse is getting done with the best possible care that you can provide, that a farrier can provide for you. It makes everything a lot easier. So, not to preach, but it's just kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah, hope you guys stay safe out there. God bless. Dirty foot. Man, this needs to move just a little bit. Maybe I can get it. If I just need it to move a little bit, that sometimes works. Sometimes I still have to get up and go to the stall jack or anvil, but with these shoes,